zusammen und einen wunderschönen guten Tag aus dem sonnigen Nordfrankreich. Wir sind heute bei Red Bull Bora-Hansgrohe und bei mir ist der Jacques. Jacques, welcome.
Thank you.
Jacques ist der Soigneur bei Bora-Hansgrohe und eigentlich habe ich gar keine so richtige Idee, was das eigentlich ist. Jacques, actually I have no really idea, like what is a Soigneur? What is your job at the team Red Bull Bora-Hansgrohe in preparation of the race Tour de France?
Well, the easiest way to describe it is it's a little bit of everything.
Okay.
We're in charge before the race, during the race and after the race.
Okay.
There's quite a lot of things that go into this, obviously. So some of the roles you can imagine before the race would be preparation. So this goes from preparing bottles, preparing coolers, making sure the cars are ready, making sure everything is packed and ready, making sure the riders' rain bags, helmets, shoes, all of these things are prepared. So that's a little bit what we do beforehand. And as you can imagine, at a big race like the Tour de France, there's a little bit of extra pressure there. Everything has to be perfect. Everything is cleaned. Everything is prepared so that the riders, when they step out of the bus, they look perfect. They just have to go on the bike and, well, then win the race. You know, they've got the easy job. And then during the race, again, the list of jobs are quite long. You'll see quite often teams, the various staff going around in cars and handing out bottles at the various points. Well, this is what we do. So, yep. We travel with the team to the start. At the start, we make sure the riders have the correct bottles on the bike for going to the start. And then we leave the start area. We've got all various points along the course. And we hand out bottles, musettes, the feed bags with all the different products in, whether it's from Ministry, whether it's our gels or our bars. This all gets prepared in the feed bags and then handed out to the riders. As you can feel at the moment, it's quite warm here in France as well. So included in this will also be some ice socks and things to cool the riders down.
Ice socks?
Ice socks. So these we fill up with ice.
Okay.
Tie them up, cut them, and this gets handed out to the rider.
They put them in the jerseys, right?
Exactly. Okay. They either put them in the front or quite often they put them in the back.
And I love to have such a sock right now.
Well, I think that'll be quite good actually. It will be quite good. And yeah, so that's a little bit what we do during, and then obviously after the stage is also really important. We come back here to the hotel where we are today also. And once we arrive, directly we start with massage and treatments with the riders. Quite important, obviously, to get the recovery process started as quickly as possible with them. And then, after we finish with our massages, a little bit preparing, cleaning, and then get ready to do all over the next day.
But let's take a little step back to like preparation. How can I imagine, how do you prepare for, there are 8 riders. How many bottles do you prepare per rider and overall, for example? And what do you put in the bottles? I can imagine it's not just water, it's also kind of...
It differs from race to race. So I can give you an example here at Tour now. Let's start off on the bigger picture. For Tour, we've packed 4,000 bottles for these 3 weeks.
Wow.
Normally this should be enough, but if the weather stays like this, quite often either on the first or the second race day we'll get a shipment of some extra bottles from the officers. So this sort of depends. Also coolers, we've got 10 coolers for the cars where these bottles go in. So you can imagine it's the size of it's quite a lot. Per stage we prepare between 100 and 200 bottles, again depending on the weather, depending on how many feedings we have, and obviously on the race distance for each day. We don't prepare specific bottles for specific riders. From the nutritionist we get the plan for each day. So this is calculated on rider performance. So if a rider needs to go in the break, maybe they take a slightly different mixture in their bottle, or if it's a long sort of control day, let's say you've got a long stage of 200 kilometers, riders might go for a lower intake of carb. And all of this information we get from our nutritionist. So this morning, I don't know, you guys arrived a little bit late, but for instance, this morning we were preparing. For tomorrow, majority of the bottles will be with water. And then we also have a bottle with some carbohydrates in from our sponsor, from Ministry. And in there then we prepare these bottles. Again, obviously the riders have their own nutrition plan, so they will know that they have to take a X amount of carbs per hour, and this then depends. If it's really warm, quite often they use the water rather for a shower than drinking. But yeah, that's sort of like a little bit of a guidance on the bottles and how we prepare them. Obviously fill up the coolers with ice, because you need to have the water and the bottles also slightly cooler. It's quite refreshing if you're dying on a climb somewhere and you get handed a nice cold bottle of water to squirt over your head.
Or maybe just a little ice cream.
Well, we quite often have an ice cream in the feeding cars. The riders, they don't like this so much. We also have, speaking of ice cream, maybe not quite as enjoyable as a nice ice cream, but we have these gels that we also freeze. And these are quite enjoyable for the riders also, because it's like a lollipop basically. So again, just cooling down from the inside out, let's say.
But talking about gels, I mean, you've mentioned you brought 4,000 bottles along. How many gels? Can you count them? Like, probably, it's hard to count.
Yeah, it's quite hard to estimate exactly, because obviously we get shipped them in the big boxes. But again, plus minus 5,000 gels, 5,000 chews and bars. So you can imagine there's quite a lot of nutrition that goes in.
You don't prepare bottles for each rider, and like specifically, is it the same with the gels?
Yeah, obviously there's 8 riders, and when you're handing out something on the road, it's quite difficult to, you don't know exactly where the rider will be in the line or in the bunch and how to give it to them. So the riders take care of this a little bit themselves. They all have obviously their own guidance from their nutritionist. So in the bus in the morning, there's a whole wardrobe that you can open with all the different flavors and all the different products. And the rider knows what
nothing
he needs.
really fits. Like
exactly. I mean, for me, I would have preferred some chocolate bars and some Haribos and things like this. The rider's a little bit more strict diet. But yeah, they open up the wardrobe. It's in the bus ready before they go for the start. And they know we have to take X amount of gels or X amount of bars per day. And they can choose which flavor and which they like. They put it in their pockets. And then, like I said, when we hand them the feed bag, it's a general amount of things that goes into it. And the rider takes what he needs, and the rest, well, becomes a present to some fan next to the road when they discard it along the way. So.
And how can, you said you have some ice cream in the feeding car sometimes. How can I imagine being in a feeding car? Because I mean, I've seen some, I don't know, shots out of like team cars when it was really busy, really stressful. And they're also talking a lot to riders on the radio. Is it for you, do you also get those talks? Like it's every rider and every team member and every car on the same, let's say, frequency? Do you get all those talks, and you're also involved in some kind of strategy there on the road?
100%. So all team cars, whether it's the race cars or the feeding cars, we're all connected via team radio. So we can all communicate with each other. We can't always hear the rider radios because that's on a different frequency, and also the range is not so far. So you can imagine if we are waiting on kilometer 60 and the bunch is on kilometer 20, we won't hear what's happening between the riders. But yeah, it's a constant flow of information. As you know, it's always good to have a plan. A plan can also change. So we have the plan at the start of the day, what needs to be given out where. But obviously this changes sometimes during the stage as well, and then this is communicated by the race car 1 or race car 2. It's a simple instruction of riders are really warm. They would prefer both persons at the feed zone to stand with water instead of water and a carb drink or something like this. So communication, it's really important, as you can imagine, and the flow of information is constant. So we're in constant communication with each other, and yeah. And also, again, sorry, speaking about the ice creams, because obviously the temperature, we also sometimes get this communication. Oh, race car 1. Is there any something sweet for race car 1, perhaps? And well, sometimes the race car also...
Then you drive side by side and just hand it over?
Or? No, sometimes just like the riders, the race car also receives a feed bag from next to the road, and we keep it in the cooler box with actually we've got these electric cooler boxes which keeps the temperature down a little bit more. And yeah, just before the race car comes past, you also pack. Just make sure you don't give the ice cream feedback to the riders, because the riders will be happy and the sports directors will be not so happy. So you have to make sure you keep a calm head and hand out the right bag to the different people.
And then race is done, race is finished. What do you do then with the riders? What's your duty after the race?
Well, like I mentioned, so normally they travel back by bus from the finish.
Going to the next hotel.
To the next hotel. So again, it differs from race to race, obviously. We are quite lucky here. We are, for the first 3 stages, we stay in the same hotel, so this is brilliant. So riders come back to the hotel already checked into their rooms and all of these things. But yeah, normally they go from finish directly to the hotel where we are staying. Sometimes we also have to be at the finish, so we will go with follow behind the bus also to the same hotel. And sometimes some of the staff will already be waiting at the hotel that wasn't maybe used the whole day. And yeah, once the riders arrive, they go to the room, quickly put down their suitcases or backpacks that they had in the bus, and then they come to their physio or to their soigneur for a massage. And then from there it varies. If they need some extra treatment or in consultation with a doctor, then they get sent to the right way and make sure that the recovery process is as efficient and effective as possible. So that sort of happens with the riders. And then, like I said, depending on the schedule and how late we arrive, then quite often we start cleaning and preparing some things for the next stage already. So just, again, to streamline and make it as effective as possible so that you don't have 100,000 things to do in the morning before the next stage.
You have to do it anyway, but I assume, yeah.
It's a little bit better if you can time manage.
Yeah.
You can get some things done the evening before. It's a little bit easier. You can maybe have a second coffee at breakfast before rushing off and doing something. So
I see. And I can imagine for you as persons or team, like being in charge of almost everything, how close are you actually working with the chefs and the people who are like preparing? How close are you working with them?
Well, at the end of the day, the team has various departments, but also any successful race or even a grand tour, the departments also have to communicate and have to work well as one big unit. So again, the same as with the cars, the flow of information is constant, whether it's between the mechanics and the physios and the mechanics and the soigneurs, the kitchen truck where the nutritionist and the chef is, whether it's the sports psychologist, all of these departments communicate quite closely to each other. Again, like I said, you come here with a plan, but the plan also needs to be flexible because you can't account for every and all changes. So, I mean, we're in constant communication also with the chef, with the nutritionist, with all of these. And like I said, quite often the day before, the nutritionist will communicate if there's some change. Maybe guys, today we use these bottles, we use a different mixture of the carbohydrate drink, we use these gels or these bars. And this is all communicated to us in cooperation with the chef, because obviously they also have to calculate how much food and how much pasta and all the exciting foods, pasta and rice they have to give to the riders. And this also affects how much they have to eat on the bike, obviously.
Are you also using some kind of AI app-ish thing to calculate the food and the meals?
100%. So obviously we don't calculate the food. The nutritionist and the chef work with, we've got a platform that we work with. And all of this gets logged. So as you can imagine, as soon as the riders finish the race, they upload their file from their computer. And yeah, from there, all the values get pulled out and goes into some fancy calculation, and they figure out if they have to have 300 or 320 grams of rice, or what might be the case. But as with everything, technology plays a vital role as well.
Maybe one last question, because I can imagine saying, okay, I get handed over like a plate with 300 grams of rice, but I feel more like 350 grams. Is there any kind of discussion going on? Hey, I would like to have more. And is there any kind of, let's say, rider who's a little bit more picky with his food than others?
We don't really see what happens in the kitchen truck. This all stays there. But yeah, as I said, the nutritionist and the chef are both in the kitchen truck. For sure, they're there to support the riders in whichever way. So maybe at the beginning of a 3-week grand tour, he might ask for some rice, but after you've had rice for 16 straight stages, maybe there might be a discussion to see if there's something else other than rice. But at the end of the day, they're there for the riders 24/7. So I'm sure that everything gets adjusted there. So yeah.
Okay. Well, Jack, thank you very much for all the insights.
Yeah, pleasure.
You told me before that you're a really good joke teller that you might want to.
Well,
now it's your stage.
I don't want to brag, but normally at the races I'm in charge of morale.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this is my own title.
But tell me your favorite joke.
Well, you know what? At the moment, I'll have to go with. Do you know what you call a cow that plays the guitar?
No.
it's a musician. So you can see this is the sort of level of jokes. Normally I'm only allowed to tell jokes before 8 in the morning and after 8 in the evening. So I also have some,
You know, I really love
some guidance there.
I love dad jokes, so I'm really fun with it.
So do I, so it's all good.
Thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you so much, and enjoy your trip around France.
Yeah, we will.
Cool, thank you.
Ich hoffe, euch hat es gefallen, mal wirklich ganz viele, ganz besondere Einsichten zu bekommen, was die Fahrer so essen, vor allem während des Rennens, wie es denn in der Vorbereitung und in der Nachbereitung aussieht. Schreibt gerne mal in die Kommentare, was ihr so während einer Ausfahrt oder auch davor oder danach gerne in euch reinstopft, und lasst uns auch mal wissen, was euer liebster, schlechtester Witz ist. Macht's gut, wir sehen uns beim nächsten Video. Bis dann, ciao.